This is your daily market review for Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and your daily market review for Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. The day before the FOMC, the day before Christmas, the day before whatever you want to call it tomorrow. It should be interesting. Not surprised you've got a little bit of a dead cat bounce. In some names, bigger bounces than others. Some names, nothing. Some names actually down. So, talked about traders market going into the FOMC meeting. I personally believe, again, you probably have a potential to pop a little more tomorrow. And then Thursday will be the truth test into Friday, in my opinion. Knowing that, how do you trade it? Well, again, if you shorted, you probably needed to take on some, harvest some profits and then know your levels. That's pretty much how simple it can be, but it can be more difficult if you want it to be. Knowing that, as we talk, and we talk about the levels, and we know the Feds are not going to cut tomorrow, it's what are they going to say? Because as of right now, there's only one Fed cut expected this year. How do they do that with inflation? How do they do that with economic dynamics? How do they do that with Trump breathing down their throat to cut rates? So, again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, links description below. Let's dig into it. If you need help, looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, want to chat about the markets, want to chat in general, use the Calendly link in the description. Let me know. Follow, like, subscribe, hit the notification bells, posting a bunch of stuff again on Twitter as normal. And also, my homes, no. It's like, do you want to see my mortgage? Or one of them. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Do yourself a favor, right? Check this out. Do me a huge favor when I think about it. If you can, hit the like button, leave a comment. And if you feel ever so generous and would like to leave a donation, again, I appreciate it. I know a lot of people absolutely killed the market over the last couple days. And again, I appreciate it. Hit the thanks button. You do what you got to do. Ultimately, again, if you want to tip the dealer, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, notification, follow on the website. Again, tons of insights. And again, turn profits into passive income and properties. That's what we are trying to do, homies. All right, so CME, we know tomorrow, nothing. I mean, this has been vacillating between 0 and 0, essentially, right? I told you guys the Feds are not going to do anything to surprise the market. Simple. Bitcoin, not surprised again. We were in the chop zone. We broke the range lows, came back in, broke the range highs, came back in. At this point, you can be as bullish or bearish as you want. I don't give a shit, but I'm going to watch the range. And they're like, perma bulls, perma bears. People don't believe. I don't care. I've seen this before. I've seen this in multiple patterns, multiple stocks, multiple formations. After big up moves, you get big chop. You go from 49,000 up to 111. What was the high again? 109,000. Don't be surprised if you get the chop cycle again. I don't want to overthink this. And again, if the market flushes out more in time, it's possible this gets shredded, just like everything else. They throw the baby out the bathwater. Same with gold, same with oil, same with some of your favorite stocks. We'll go through them. Oil, talked about yesterday. Not surprised if we got a little oversold conditions. Let me just draw a little rectangle because I think you guys can see it. All right, and there's a little bit of something. Not surprised. After you go from 80 down to 73, 72, get a little bounce. Keep it simple, stupid. Natural gas, I don't know why it doesn't seem like it's updating. There you go. I talked about weakness. Thank God. Come to daddy. We'd love to see natural gas at lower prices, ultimately to scoop that off of the ground. Someone else's trash, someone else's treasure. Dollar. We talked about the 100-day was eventually coming. You went below it. Had big volume, capitulation, potential action. Again, I'm not really trading the dollar, but I'm watching for its volatility. TLT, bonds. Here we are, staging under a breakout potential. Now, this is where tomorrow could be the day for bonds. What happens? Again, we'll see how they react. I mean, if they talk dovish, I would think bonds get sold. If they're actually more hawkish, I think bonds will get sold. People are like, what? That's the opposite. Yeah, because I think the market will only really rally in the bond market if there's potential market sell-off. And again, so if they're hawkish and they talk about higher rates, it's almost like damned if they do, damned if they don't. If we notice, they say one thing and the market does the other. Remember at the highs up here, everyone's excited about rate cuts and it's like, right? They're like, oh, we're going to cut rates. Bonds got sold. I love for them. Again, leave a comment below. If you remember this shit tomorrow, thank me. Thank yourself for taking note. If they say they're hawkish and bonds rally, I trust it more than if they say they're dovish. You're like, dovish and hawkish meaning like if they're saying dovish meaning, oh, more rate cuts, and hawkish saying we need a pause, we're not sure, we got to let inflation play out, blah, 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 blah. Keep that in mind. VIX. Man, look at the pullback today. Holy shiznit. Again, 200-day, 50-day. Watching. VIVIX got kicked, but not crushed. But, however, holding up higher. We talked about this higher lows off the lows. Keep an eye on it. SPY got a 5-point bounce. Cool, right? Here we are. Do we fill the gap? So this is what I would be very aware of. If we fill the gap, that's a great opportunity to take shorts. Like very simple, very simple, very simple. We're right back at resistance. And this is where, again, I think we'll probably chop around until the Feds decide to say something. Tech, again, is my sector of shortness. Preference, again, it's lagging, made lower highs. Where does it get back to? I mean, we talked about the 8 and 10 day being possible. It's right here, somewhere in the, I don't know, 520s. Keep an eye on it. And again, this is the interesting thing, right? You see options action showing bottoms, but is it short term or long term? And this is the question you have to ask yourself. What do you really trust? What is your real intention here? Because again, if you shorted things, again, you should expect dead cat bounces, right? At certain times, right? Nothing goes in a straight line down. But here's the thing. If the trend is down and we are heading lower, at some point, what should happen? It's going to go lower. IWM seems to be stuck here. Stuck in the middle with you between the 50 and the 100-day. That's what we've talked about between then and there. Let it go. DIA holding up pretty darn well. I know we have some earnings after hours. I'm going to flip that screen in the background real quick because I don't like to keep on it. DIA holding up pretty good. Pretty good. You know, Larry David. Pretty good. Yep. Trying to see if there's... Oh, Vale had some iron production. F5 Networks beat. Raised. See if anyone else after anything worth noting. Starbucks beats. Global comps fell by 4%. Ooh, revenue down year over year. What? You mean they can't raise their prices on coffee? Yikes. That's, you know, you don't ever see that. Usually they're like inflation. They always raise rates, or they're like always able to pass on pricing. So again, we'll see what they're up to when we get to them shortly. All right, gold. Talked about this, like it's tough to trust the breakout until the Fed speak. We're staging up against the highs. I personally believe it's probably gonna, if it does lead, it's not, I need to see silver, right? Lagging. I need to see the miners catch up. I need to see them catch up, right? Like catch up. Not so much. I mean, they seem to be lagging. So to me, if they're lagging, they either have a huge gap to fill, laggingness to catch up, or someone knows something and they're like, I wouldn't buy gold miners with your dead enemy's body. I don't know. That's a bad analogy, but you get my point. AEM holding up pretty well. Again, we've talked about this one being the leader in the next bull market. A Jizzle, right? Chopping around, not really showing you much. Newmont, on a day over day, should be up. It's down. Pass. On the day where it should be up, it's flat. Well, womp, 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 womp. Again, we'll see what happens after the FOMC meeting. Taiwan Semi or their announcement. Dead cat bounce, not surprised, right? Inside day, that's okay. Inside days are normal. 100-day holding. Need to get over this to get bullish. Need to get below this to get bearish. Big candles, big ranges potentially follow. Micron, the doo-doo of doo-doo-ness. I mean, did it close? Man, it closed near the lows. Again, I'm not super like going, oh man, that means it definitely toasted. Because I would just be watching what happens here. I mean, you're back into this range. Could it bounce tomorrow, the day after? Maybe, but just watch the ranges. AMD, keep an eye on this one, right? New lows, chopping around. Again, sorry, people get mad. NVIDIA, we talked about it holding potentially around the 200-day over yesterday's highs and closed right at this old area. Interesting action because we know yesterday retail was buying the crap out of the dip. Who else was buying the dip? I don't know. We'll see. This is what's so hard about leaders, right? They die a slow death. Slow death. Now this gap, I mean, could you get to 132? That's where I'd be watching for first resistance to absolutely stab it with a short knife. And again, but also be aware, it could wick out near term. Like you can get wild market action during FOMC meeting times because again, people just lose their shiznit. SMCI looked like a wedge. Break down. Keeping an eye on that. Just thought of something real quick. Hold on. 2 seconds. It's a stock that I'm interested in shorting. Is it HIMS or HIM? Yeah, let me put that one on there. We're going to put that on the chart today. Let's do that because I think that one is an obvious monster. SMCI, retail favorite, 31% short interest. Again, I'd love to see that spike. Yeah, leave it alone. Intel. I mean, I hate to sound like the bearer of bad news, but I really don't think there's a buyout target. If it is, it's a charity buyout tokenly at $18 to $19. I don't think anyone should own the stock unless you're trying to make some arbitrage. AVGO, look at this. Gaps down. You would think it'd start rallying. SMH, decent little bounce. Closed near the high of the day. Inside day, 2-day range. This is where you got to love the fucking market when it gives you perfect little 2-day bottoms, 3-day ranges, right? 3-mile islands. Keep an eye on it. Adobe, this one seems to be holding the 20-day. That's what we said. Watch it. If it breaks it, go lower. Applesauce, again, Chase Solstice with the fire calls, meaning like putting out the info on calls and puts. Appreciate it. Again, we don't always have to agree, but that's the nature of the beast. Again, credit where credit is due. Applesauce, 50-day. This is fast, y'all. Again, everyone's thinking the 200 days. Shorts get squeezed. Bulls chase. Bears give up. Keep an eye on this one. This could get really funkadelic here at the 100-day. Could we close this gap here? Again, Apple's been notorious for not closing gaps at times. So, red alert, 240 maybe. Red alert, woo, woo, woo. Amazon, chopping around, new highs. Look at that wick though, little sneaky. Little sneaky. Now, again, a lot of these names have earnings too coming up. So don't be surprised if they get a little sneaky, right? Sorry, Meta seems to be holding up. Like the short on this one. Glad we used stops. Glad I left it the fuck alone. Excuse my language. It seems like they're going after, again, we are one of the ones for saying like Zuck is kissing the ring. Near term, I look at this and I go, I don't know. I don't have a thought on it. And ultimately, it's been holding up really well. So I don't know if I want to step in front of that buzzsaw and lose a finger. CRM, look at this bounce back post. Seek deep announcement. Look where it worked at. Near the old highs, right? Like sometimes, you know how we've talked about endlessly. Sometimes you get retest out of nowhere and they're gifts. Could this be one of them? Again, worth watching the highs. I mean, if you stop out and you short it at the range high, perfect. I mean, that's part of trading. It's the risk reward was that, you can tie your loss and know you're wrong to a minimal small amount. It's simple shit. Guggenheim, chopping at the highs. Microsoft got a nice little bounce. Chopping, chop. NDAQ, again, love the short here over time. See, look what happened. Look at that wiki. Again, I'm telling you, folks, I think the demise of the Nasdaq as a whole, meaning the exchange, the volumes are going to dry up. People are not going to be buying AI shit because they know it's the past. Keep an eye on this. MicroStrategy, it's tough to trust, right? Chop, change. I mean, I personally think you'll get back into the 230s, 240s. You've got a trend line here. If it breaks, this thing's just a wild beast. Netflix and Spill. I don't know. Netflix and Spill bear blood. We talked about this gap up hitting the resistance. These are some old trend lines. I could zoom out, but just watch it. Again, it doesn't really seem to be acting that well. Roblox, man, kicking myself in the dick for this one. Again, I really liked it down at the range lows. We liked it on pullbacks. We thought, if it broke over this, it would go. And then it gave it all back. Kind of didn't really put foot in mouth. Didn't pay attention. Nice run. Hey, sometimes you're wrong. PanW, this one could be another one. Foot and mouth disease. Again, I like this long term. I just don't trust anything to go really super long. This one, again, I like cybersecurity. Tesla, talked about this one going into the chop zone. 50-day seems to be holding. Oh, after this big move, it just has to go higher. I'm like, you don't say that. All right, you go from 500 now back down to 375. You could have taken profit. Could have added back. Oh, God, it's just, I don't know. Whatever. Insight. Keep an eye on this one. Again, I think it's a buyout target. Seems to be bouncing. HIMS, I think this one is an absolute Ponzi scheme, meaning that you can easily buy what they're selling, getting from a doctor prescription, and then using good RX codes and get stuff for much cheaper. Yet they advertise that they're somehow doing something miraculous. Again, you can go to a doctor online. If you actually use any of the services, again, I know people who have. I've tried them out just to see what it was like, just to test it. It's incredibly expensive. Again, the same prescription that you might pay 160, 200, whatever bucks for, you can get for 20 bucks. Again, now the thing is you have to go get potentially to a doctor, which I get that. But again, if you already have a established doctor care, it's not that big a deal. Again, now their next thing is an advertising deal for the Super Bowl on weight loss pills. Oh God, weight loss pills? Are you fucking kidding me? Scammy, real scammy. See, we'll see what happens up here. I'd be watching this 33. Again, with a 31% short interest going into the Super Bowl, knowing that they're going to try to pump this, I would not stand in its way. I would let it rise if it is meant to rise. Watch how it acts when it gets into the 35s, because it could always squeeze out and just destroy those 30% short interest. But high short interest for a reason. Palantir seemed to be calling NVIDIA's bluff. Nice bounce. Again, chopping around. Watch what happens in the 85s. Maybe Palantir is the next NVIDIA. Keep that in mind. McDonald's chopping around, holding the 200-day. DKNG, again, I like the short up here, chopping around. Again, if you stop out, it's okay. You took your profits if you took some from 40s down into the 30s. See what happens. Again, Airbnb Bizzle seems to be chopping around, holding the range lows. After hours at 128, did they just poop the bed? I'm just curious real quick. Sometimes those are just extraneous orders. F5, Starbucks. Upside guidance. I guess that guided up. Okay. No, maybe it's just an extraneous order. Shit happens. Keep an eye on it. Costco. We talked about how this was due to bounce. If you played the bounce, congratulations. Now what? Again, this has been a big, huge run. Just, I don't know. I'd probably be taking profit. Starbucks, again, at 100. Going into earnings. After hours at 104. We'll see what happens. Needs to clear and get into that 104s to really have the legs. Keep an eye on it. FedEx. Talked about it bouncing in the 260s. Cool. Chopping around. Caterpillar. Talked about how this thing had an amazing bounce. Look where it failed. The old range. Keep an eye on it. We've talked about DE. Deer. Are you with me? These names are acting like tech stocks. After a solid bounce, it's probably going to take a rest. Nucor had earnings yesterday. Nice reaction to basically mediocre earnings. However, if the market pulls back, these names could pull back. And if they come into these zones, you just keep an eye on them. Got it? Good. Great. All right, watching these names, chopping around. Vale, that's some news after hours. What is it at? 903, not really bouncing. Again, I think long-term, this is a good area to purchase with defined risk and stops. Makes sense to me. Again, if it gets back into the 7, 8 range, Arrow, again, we like junior copper, but junior names get crushed when economic activity gets difficult. Remember, they don't have leverage. They don't have balance sheets. They don't have access to capital as easily. CCJ, we talked about watching this trend line. One of them pops up. And again, maybe this is dropping just solely because of, again, if you don't need all these NVIDIA high-powered chips, everyone can just use their flashlights or their solar lights. I mean, then you don't need all of that uranium. We'll see. I mean, again, I personally don't know why you would be building out more capacity and building out more power plants than possible. But again, administrations, and again, when you see overseas, they're like Eurozone, that nuclear power isn't green energy. Get out of here. Okay, CF chopping around. Talked about that bounce and flop. Chop now. Mosaic seems to be holding 200-day. NTR seems to be holding up pretty well. We'll see. Again, I mean, if you zoom out, you can tell on these names. They're just big choppy bottoms. And at some point, the base is building. I don't know if I want to be before the base. You would slap at a base. AA had earnings. Starting to give it up post-earnings. Again, we like aluminum a lot. XLF makes sense to me up here to start watching this for shorts. Look at the doji today. Watch the action. Can we trap out? Can we retest the 10 line? Again, if you're looking at JP Morgan and you're like, what do you do? Again, define your risk. I think that they hold all the bags. I know they're absorbing a bunch of junior banks. We'll see what happens. Morgan Stanley chopping around near the highs. Bank of America lagging. Again, some banks are leading, some are not. Goldman Sachs seems to be holding up pretty well. KRE chopping around. Choppa. Right, here you go. Hit the 50-day. Keep an eye on it. XBI. This is where it gets a little, who knows for sure near term for these guys. Again, a nice little bounce. I just don't know if you'll be able to ravage through all those moving averages. Jets, it's a chop top. I feel it in my loins. But again, we need to break the 20-day. So again, if you're short this, it makes sense long term. Again, if you bought long term puts on it, it's gonna be freaking. I think they're cheap, cheapy, right? Keep an eye on it. XHB. We talked about the dead cat bounce. Watch this area. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything really else to say other than that. HYG, again, I think you got to be high to your mind about corporate debt up here. Solar, all over the place. Not surprised. Just is what it is. Again, we've talked about these having the ones that are going out of business are going to zero. And names that survive will get slapped. And they get slapped. ENPH. I mean, I think they can go out of business. First Solar, I think will not. They'll just, I mean, you'll get great pullbacks. I mean, you'll get oversized, bigger pullbacks than you think. Let's end it with the oil names. Oil, right? Near term, a little bit of oversoldness, not surprised. You got some jawboning going on internationally. UNG, I hate this fucking product, excuse my language. Although we talked about taking profits on natural gas. If you shorted KLD at the 80s or the 50s, we talked about you gotta get hedged, or you gotta like take some profits. Don't be a greedy little bastard. Not surprised it bounces. Watch what happens. Again, in my opinion, I don't know. Again, I'd just be letting it play out. I have no clue because it's a decaying asset, what price it could get to, but we'll be watching natural gas. XOP, we talked about it. 3 Mile Island up here, chopping around. Watch the 100-day. Keep an eye on it, right? We like ExxonMobil long term, but I mean, these things are like big chop patterns. Again, you can buy them, but just be careful, in my opinion, and just define your risk. Don't sit here and go, well, it can't go lower. No, we've seen names get thrown out with the baby with the bathwater. CVE, range lows. It makes sense to watch these down here. Valero, we talked about the gasoline names, had some nice pump. Chop now. Okay, watch what happens here. Are we about to start some more big red on this? Sorry, MPC. Potentially. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, these have nice bounces. BP, we like this one long term, but we talked about nice little bounce from the 20s up to the low 30s. Breaks the trend line. Now it's going to chop out. Occidental, I think Buffett will absolutely not lose long term. The guy is a fucking proven winner. However, we know that he can be early and sell puts and love, and he'll go big. If he believes in it, he will go big and keep buying. EQT, this was interesting. Had a nice bounce up into the 50s, gap down. Now it's chopping around the 20-day. I personally, again, don't chase, but names to watch for strength into the future. And last but not least, the Flex LNG, because I think we'll be natural gas exporters. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. Do me a favor, be safe, be thoughtful, be smart. And if you need help, do not hesitate to reach out. Always here for you. Playa, peace in the Middle East. Later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.